Hello and welcome to our program. Well, today we're going to learn all about the estuary. We're at the Cowichan Library in the Island Savings Centre in downtown Duncan. And thanks for joining us on Go Island, Cowichan Valley. On today's show, Cowichan Estuary Beauty. 100 families will soon call Elkington Forest home. Chemainus has a music festival, snorkeling in the Arctic, Mill Bay Days, and a lot more on Go Island, Cowichan Valley. The Cowichan Estuary is one of the most ecologically important in British Columbia. For thousands of years, people have been drawn to its natural bounty. There is now an opportunity for all of us to learn about this amazing ecosystem through a traveling exhibition, presently at the Cowichan Library for the summer.
The object was to create a mobile temporary exhibition, something that we don't do a lot of. We tend to build the bigger ones that stay put. So this was an opportunity for us to try to get out into the community. Part of the museum's mandate is to collect historic objects and specimens. And that's how we actually determine sometimes how certain species are at risk or certain land areas are in danger. We have historic photographs, we have specimens from those collections, and sometimes those specimens are no longer found in estuaries. So we can measure the health of an estuary by the health of the species that thrive there. It's a great outreach program. It's a great way to deliver the right amount of information to people at the right levels. It's visually stunning. There's a local photographer who donated all of his images to the show. So it's really been a collaborative process.
It wouldn't have been possible without partners, the Royal BC Museum and CIRCA, the Cowichan Estuary Restoration and Conservation Association. The estuary story is told through the lens of a CIRCA representative.
It's one of our members, Barry Hedgecoe. He started photography actually 3 years ago, and he spends all his spare time in the estuary focusing his photography on the estuary, on the bird life, and he does outstanding work. He has really the respect of the museum, the Royal Museum, and they were thrilled getting those photographs, and the whole exhibition is based on his photographs, actually. We divided the estuary into two parts. One is a generic part, which makes it suitable to be shown in other communities where they have estuaries as well, and one very specifically focusing on the Cowichan Estuary. We selected, I think, a total of 7 or 8 themes while we are going around. You will see the different themes. It shows the challenges, the threats, opportunities, the life. So it has a very holistic approach to estuaries in general.
Well, estuaries are usually sheltered, and I'm learning that they are home to immense different varieties of life, not just the obvious like the birds, but tiny animals as well. So it's important to see that in this exhibit.
Yeah, most definitely. But we probably should look at the habitat first, where those creatures live. Because without the habitat, the creatures wouldn't be there. And this is what we are all about. We are trying to protect the habitat and ameliorate or enhance habitat for creatures to be able to live there. So here on this panel, we see the different habitat types in an estuary. Which is the intertidal, it's the zone between saltwater and freshwater. And because of the tidal differences, we have exposed material, exposed soil. Those ones are commonly referred to as mud flats. But we are talking about microphytobenthic diatom layer instead of mud flats in technical terms, indicating actually the importance of micro, little creatures, phyto, it is a plant material, benthic is both living in this zone. And the mudflats create actually 50% of the primary production, so material which is eaten, consumed by all the creatures in the estuary. So it's of key importance. Okay, in the mudflats we see mostly little birds or little creatures, invertebrates, very small but are of key importance in the food chain for all the other creatures like shellfish and birds and larger fish. We see the heron very prominently, and it's a typical prototype bird for our estuaries. You see them standing in the estuary and fishing all the time. This is shown, for example, with the birds. They have different beaks because they eat different things. They are equipped for this. Some filter the food through their beak. Others need a long beak to pull out worms and invertebrates. And of course, migratory fish. We have 4 salmon species coming through and going for spawning in our rivers, the Cowichan and Coxsackie. So this is called the cradle of life, an estuary. It is absolutely important, vital to life. That's where land meets the sea, so that's this area, ecotone, it's called in technical terms, which is of key importance, and one of the most important ecosystems, generally speaking.
We're going to take a short break, and after the break, bring you a story from Paul Beilstein, who will be talking about a housing development with a difference. Elkington Forest will soon be home to over 100 families, and as a result, the forest will be saved from clear-cut logging. This is not your average East meets West gypsy punk accordion rock band. It's Tower of Dudes, and they will join many other performers for the Velvet Rut Chemainus Express Fest in Chemainus on July 19th at Waterwheel Park. The festival is free and family-friendly with food and lots of music to enjoy. Be there at the Velvet Rut Chemainus Express Fest. Bands will play from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at Waterwheel Park in Chemainus.
Make your culture do your own way. Ha!
At the Cowichan Library, the Circa exhibition shows protection of the Cowichan Estuary. While Circa realizes forestry jobs must be maintained, they are also working with those in the logging industry to find sustainable solutions to log transport.
It is estimated that 50% of the Cowichan Estuary has been impacted on by human activities, adversely impacted on, I should say. Most of those activities were related to forestry, to the forestry industry. Unfortunately, many estuaries had sawmills established inside the estuaries. That was mostly due to facilitating log boom storage and transport and feeding the mills. And this has been going on since the turn of the last century. And this includes also the Cowichan Estuary. So we had heavy logging activities as of 1870, 1880, and it never stopped until today. So we had depressions in the forestry industry, which showed signs of recuperation of our estuary. But still, there's an active sawmill there, and the log booms are threatening the integrity, ecological integrity of the estuary.
For many years, First Nations people found their staple diet in the Cowichan Estuary, collecting kelp, plant life, and seafood.
The Cowichan Estuary in particular has a long history. Cowichan means the area of the warm winds. So it's a prime area for people to settle, and the First Nation people have settled here thousands of years ago. made a living here, so they depended on the livelihood. For their livelihood on the estuary. So it is estimated that about 8,000 people lived here in this area of First Nations before white men arrived, which was around 1850. Until today, the estuary is of great importance, economic importance and spiritual importance, cultural, to Cowichan tribes. But unfortunately, as you see here, they were digging for shellfish, for clams. In the early days, the shellfish harvest has been banned since 1970 due to contamination from colibacteria, and the ban is still in effect. And shellfish is of great, great importance for the diet of First Nations. And so right now there's no shellfish harvest, which has a detrimental impact on the life of Cowichan tribes, and many still live right in the estuary area. By 1870, the estuary was still totally intact, but then the logging industry started bringing logs down the river, the Cowichan River. They were boomed down to the bay and then shipped from the bay. So in the 1880s, 90s, we had increasing urbanization. We had dike building, dike construction for flood control. And later on, the Cowichan Causeway was built. There was a railroad built right out into the estuary, effectively dividing the estuary into two parts, which had a tremendous effect on estuary life. So it blocked the circulation of water and sea life.
The traveling Cowichan Estuary exhibition honored carver Simon Charlie and started with an Aboriginal ceremony at Duncan Mall. The exhibition will be open for the entire summer at the Cowichan Library inside the Island Savings Centre in Duncan. Circa intends to take the exhibition to schools and libraries all over Vancouver Island in the future.
So it's a fantastic didactic tool because it has a holistic approach to estuary, so it shows every aspect of an estuary, its ecological importance, challenges, opportunities for tourism, bird life, kayaking, and all those things.
We're going to take a short break and then we'll be back with a story from Raji Cobley. Well, we all know how important ocean research is, especially now. In Raji's story, we'll meet an ambitious young woman who is on a mission, along with 9 other women, to fundraise and go and train and snorkel in the Arctic. Thanks for being with us on the program. And don't forget, we love your story ideas. So let us know if you think you have an idea or someone who should be profiled. See you next time on Go Island, Cowichan Valley.
Women's clothing provided by Tulip Noir, casual designer fashions. Men's wardrobe by DG Bremner & Co. Menswear and accessories. Hair services provided by Salon J.